Morning everyone and welcome back to the vlog. I'm in the Cairngorms today following the Louis water up through it flows down into the River Dee, which is where I've parked down at a car park down the bottom there, heading up into the Cairngorms into the mountains and hoping today to really sort of find some nice old Scots pine. It's quite bright and sunny, but there's a little bit of cloud over. And there's some beautiful patches of water down through here with some cascades. So lots to photograph and really looking forward to heading up into the hills and exploring a little bit of the area. So I've sort of come down to the Water Louis down through here, and there's some nice falls that cascade down through. There's a man-made kind of structure. I'm guessing that they divert the water for some reason or another off to the right there. But what's really caught my eye are these rocks that coming down from the left-hand side, and there's a sort of group of pines up behind there. I'm not sure, that's my main focal point, those rocks with the water coming down. I really like the colours, the light that's coming off of there. They're not too they're quite a gentle falls, so make a nice image, and then capturing some of the pines behind. But I'm not too sure how it's going to look. So at the moment, I haven't got the tripod, I've just got the camera in my hand, and I'm just going to experiment with a couple of different focal lengths, just to sort of see how the image looks through the camera. So I'll have a little play around, see if I can work out a composition here. I don't want to include this sort of man-made gateway and built wall that's on my right, but the sort of natural rocks and the way that the water's cascading down is beautiful. So what I think I'll do is probably look at taking a shot that's just the rocks with the water coming down, and then also composing it with the pines behind. It's one of those sort of blue sky days with white puffy clouds, which I'm not so keen on, but anyway, we'll play about, get some compositions, see what we got. So I'll show you the composition that I've lined up on the back of the camera. You can see that we've got the water cascading down just in front of me here. It's there's a rock just to my left, and it's actually coming off the surface of that rock and causing this nice flow of water around. Now, my original intention had been to capture those pines in the background, but you can see we've got that blue sky with white puffy clouds, which is really not what I want in my image. So what I'm doing is I'm zooming in to just really crop out of that sky and make the water my main feature. I've still got some nice sort of green behind with a splash of those pines with the light hitting them. It's way too bright at the moment. It was forecast for an overcast, cloudy day today, and it's far from it. We've got very few clouds and bright blue sky, so it's definitely going to be a waiting game. But I really like, there's a couple of rocks just to the right there, which I really like. The water's just cascading over those. That adds a little bit more foreground interest. And as I say, I'm just cropping out that sky just to really make that feature of the water cascading down. You follow your eye through, down those small falls in the backdrop, and a nice splatter of green behind, which is really nice. But I think I'll wait here for a while now and just wait for that light to soften. So I don't know whether I'm coming away with that shot. As I said, it's blue skies and the sun shining, totally not what it was forecast for. It was forecast for sort of lots of cloud cover until around about midday, sort of 1 or 2 o'clock in the afternoon. But I've not been to this area before, so make a mental note of where that is, because that's a beautiful scene through there. And I think on the right day, with the trees in the background, maybe, I don't know, the autumn would be a good time. I always say autumn. That's what all photographers say, but better in autumn. I don't know if it would be because of the pines. They don't really change too much in autumn time. But definitely one to remember, and it is absolutely beautiful here. I'm enjoying the sunshine and I'm enjoying being out. So anyway, we'll carry on up into the mountains and see what we can find. So I found this walk in a book that was gifted to me from a family member, Cairngorms and the Northeast Scotland, and it's published by the Scottish Mountaineering Club, and I can highly recommend it for some stunning routes up through the Cairngorms. It's often difficult to find these trails, but wow, what a beautiful area to be in, and absolutely breathtaking seeing the Louis water coming down through the mountains, and we've just got a little bit of cloud coming in. The heather's just starting to come through, and we've got this scattering of Scots Pines. So as we were coming along the trail, Corin spotted this beautiful, gnarly old pine that's come down. And you can see that it's been down quite a while, but the actual sort of textures and colours in it are absolutely beautiful. But what I really like is this branch that's closest to me. It sort of curves and twists around with its nice sort of, it's still got some bark left on it. And then behind it, we've got the heather that is just starting to come through. It's actually it's actually a lot stronger in places where the light comes through. Some of this is new growth, but where the light obviously comes down through the trees, the heather's really popping out. But what I like is the tones of the light that sit behind this branch that's being broken up by the trees and the branches behind. And we've got this sort of patchwork of light just touching the tops of the heathers, and then in the shade we've got this branch that comes and twists around. So there's a tall pine behind, so I'm going to make sure that I don't intersect that branch with any of the trees behind. Probably will just be this part of the branch, a little bit of the tree, some nice heather in the front, and then the light catching behind. And well, it was a good find from Corin, and anyway, I'll set up, get into position and show you what I'm looking at on the back of the camera. So I've changed my composition a little bit. Originally I was going to focus on this twisting branch that curves round that's right close to me. But actually I quite like getting some of the rest of the tree in with those branches off in the distance. So I've come round a little bit. You can see on the camera now that I've got that branch to the right of my composition. The tree comes up from bottom right, flows through the image. And that's the light that I was talking about, that sort of patchwork of light that's just coming down through those trees. And I don't know if you can see the sort of the heather that's just starting to come out. There's some heather just at the front of the tree here, which I'm just trying to capture in my final image. It's cropped a little bit there in video mode, but and so I'm capturing some of that heather nice and close. There's a little bit of light on the tree, but not too much, but that really just brings out the textures in that tree. And then I've positioned myself so that these pines that are in the background aren't intersecting in any way with my main subject. So Yeah, nice shot and a good find by Corin. I wouldn't have spotted it. I was busy looking at the sort of big scene and the water coming down through the hills there. So, but it's a really good find. So anyway, here's the image. Just wandered down the path here and just turned back, and there's these beautiful Scots Pines just on the edge of the path where it dips over the hill here. And I'm kind of hoping that there's a big cloud coming over, which I'm hoping is going to diffuse some of that light because it's just a little bit too bright. Now I kind of see this as a real panoramic letterbox style image. I just want to catch the bases of those pines, but in particular there's two tucked in between the ones that are closest to me that have got some real interesting branches that are coming off and twisting into the scene. And if I can capture a little bit of that path just coming off of the bottom there, leading you into the image, then that will be perfect. So I'm just going to stand here and wait patiently for that cloud to come across, and hopefully it'll be just enough to diffuse the light. And if it is, here's the image. So something that I really like to do when I'm heading out into a new location, out into the wilderness, is firstly I like to check the OS map, get a really good idea of how the land lies and where the water features are coming down through, where there might be waterfalls, where there's rocky terrain, perhaps there's looking at the contours of the hills to see perhaps where there may be gorges and valleys that come through, rocky areas that may have a little bit more interesting features. Something else that I like to do is look at other images online, because that can give you a good idea of the sort of area that you're walking into, the sort of things that you could be photographing. And it also gives you a good idea of what seasons may be better for visiting those areas. I mean, I'm in amongst some beautiful heather that's just starting to come through, and maybe in a few more weeks that will be really in full bloom and really look quite vibrant. And just for safety, I like to let people know where I'm heading, so that just in case somebody needs to get me, they know where I'll be. But it should never put you off coming to a wild and stunning location like this, because it is absolutely breathtaking. And to be immersed in this absolute stunning scenery is truly incredible. So we finally lost that bright sunshine, and I can feel my mood's lifted. It was definitely frustrating trying to find images in that bright, strong summer light, as beautiful as it was. And you try and keep up as upbeat as possible, but when you sort of just got a few images in the bag and you're not sure how they're going to come out. It's this change has really sort of lifted my spirits a little bit. We've got some nice sort of soft dappled light now, a little bit of cloud cover. And the further we've come up into these mountains, we've now got sort of these scatterings of Scots Pines that are up on the hills and are a lot more separated. And it's a beautiful location. As I said before, the heather's just starting to come through. So you've got that beautiful splash of colour that's just popping out from the undergrowth. Anyway, I've just spotted a group of trees on the other side. I think it might be just a little bit too far away, but I'm going to take the image anyway. I've got a 70 to 200mm lens on. There's a grouping of trees just over there that I'm photographing, and then around here there's one that's sort of dying off with some grey branches on there, which is quite interesting. So I'm going to take that shot, turn around and take that shot. So you can see on the back of the camera here that I've got this group of trees on the other side, and they're just a really interesting formation with sort of all at different angles with their old branches that are just sort of hanging off. And then we've got that sort of splash of green behind it, which I really think it makes them punch out. You know, you've got this bark and these light coloured branches sat amongst this sort of dark and light greens. And I've just managed to get into a really nice position where none of them are really intersecting and it's just looking off at them into the distance. I'm at around about 135mm on my 70 to 200mm lens, but you can see that we've got this splash of green along the bottom of the image there, where we've got some sort of small pines that have just started growing on the beach along the actual river there. But I really like those old twisting branches that are coming down into the image. Really gives it a little bit of interest. There's also a couple of dead branches at the front there. I probably don't think I'll be including any of the beech. It's a little bit bright and a little bit too much contrast for the image, so I'll just probably crop it below. But anyway, we'll take that shot and I'll move the camera around and take the next one. So I've swung the lens round and this shot's very different. We've got this fallen old pine that lays across the beach there. So I'm going to need to include some of that sort of beach in front of it. And then we've got this couple of pines in the background there and the one with the grey branches that sort of twist down. And they're almost pointing down to that tree and the branches coming up from the one on the beach. So an interesting scene, and I love the sort of contrasts in this one. Very different image, but just by turning the camera around, we've got a totally different composition. Here's the image. So I've come up into the hills a little bit and got in amongst some of this beautiful heather that is really come into bloom, I guess because there's a lot more light around. But there's some lovely sort of Scots Pines scattered about. This one that I'm photographing now, the top's sort of missing out of it, but I'm really only focused, I only really want the bottom part, because what I'm going to try and do is shoot across this bed of heather, long lens but narrow depth of field, so that we get this soft, blurry, out of focus splash of colour leading to the tree. So I'm shooting on my 70 to 200 millimeter lens, nice and low, so that, as I say, I'm shooting through the heather, splash of colour, with the tree just behind it. And there's another one just off to the right, which I might include as well. Let's see how it goes. Well, that's it for this episode of the vlog. I think I'm going to wrap it up here. This is a great spot just to sit and relax and enjoy the scenery for a little while. But I hope you've enjoyed this episode of the vlog. It's been a fantastic recce. This is an incredible area I can highly recommend. And with lots of diversity for photographing, from the Scots Pines to the Looe water coming down through here, and some of the mountains on the backdrop, absolutely stunning. So anyway, stay tuned. We're coming up to our 50th episode. I think this is number 48. We've got one more and then it's our 50th episode. We're going to be running a competition, 2 prizes up for grabs. Looking forward to that. Thank you so much for watching. If you haven't subscribed already, please do hit the bell notification, and well, look forward to seeing you in the next episode. Thanks for watching.